What makes people human? What do you think makes us human? Or do it the other way round. What helps to bring people down to earth? The late Queen, she was no pushover, was she? She was, one felt she was a bit distant, a bit remote, but there might have been flashes when she became, we felt, the humanity. I always remember seeing a clip, a television clip, a news clip, I don't know. It was a breakfast scene at one of the palaces, and the breakfast was set, and the crockery and the cutlery were all spot on. And then we had a shot of the Queen taking a pot of Tupperware and shaking out her breakfast cereal. Chequers, the Prime Minister's residence, is not far from here, and you might have walked along some of the footpaths, and there are plenty around, and you tend to get a bit close if you are particularly nosy and pursue that path instead of that one, and so on. And my wife and I were walking around there one day and came across quite a tall, quite a lean individual in his 40s, just about 60s, no, not 60, probably late 40s. And he was so hot and bothered. He had just walked, just climbed up, run up. I guess he wanted to think he'd run up, but it was almost a hill too far for him. And he paused, he was gasping, he wiped the sweat off his brow, and it was the Prime Minister, Tony Blair, who then greeted us, recovered his composure, and then ran off at a marvellous pace. Before we came to Wycombe, we lived for a period near Birmingham in a little village south of Birmingham. And it was a place that got more than its usual share of snow. And that was great for the children and so on. There was a golf course opposite, and they could have a great time. And one Sunday afternoon, we all went out, mid-afternoon or so. The snow was really thick on the ground. The roads had been cleared just about, but hadn't reached every corner of the village. And we were going up a hill to the church, and there was a car. And it was a car that was stuck. It couldn't go up, and it couldn't go down. It was the Bishop of Birmingham on his way to a service, a particular service on that Sunday afternoon. And so we said, "You're having trouble, are you?" And he replied appropriately. And anyway, cutting a long story short, we pushed the car into the road, to the side, and then we picked up his robes and his case and his other bits and pieces, although he didn't have his cross with him, I must say, and escorted him to the church. There was a moment of humanity then. There was a moment of normality. What does it help? What does it help to make us human? We're going to read the story of Lazarus shortly, and we're going to learn that the humanity of Jesus intrudes in this story in a most interesting way. New Testament reading is divided up. It's the story of Lazarus, verses 1 to 45. And that's a bit much for just one reader. So David is joining Val, and let's see what they can make of it.
The reading this morning is John 11, verse 1 to 45. Now a man named Lazarus was ill. He was from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. This Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lay ill, was the same one who poured perfume on the Lord and wiped his feet with her hair. So the sisters sent word to Jesus, "Lord, the one you love is ill." When he heard this, Jesus said, "This illness is not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed where he was 2 more days. And then he said to his disciples, "Let us go back to Judea."
"But Rabbi," they said, "a short while ago the Jews there tried to stone you, and yet you are going back?" Jesus answered, "Are there not 12 hours of daylight? Anyone who walks in the daytime will not stumble, for they see by this world's light. It is when a person walks at night that they stumble, for they have no light." After